Hello, my name is Andrew Thake from Mines and Money. Delighted to be joined today by Mark Jarvis, who's the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Giga Metals. Delighted to have you with us today, Mark.
Well, Andrew, it's very nice to be here. Looking forward to being in London next week.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to having you at London Connect show. Mark, Giga Metals is among the world's largest undeveloped resources of sulphide nickel and cobalt. Why should that be of interest to investors?
Well, it's part of the next wave of mines that are going to be developed in the nickel space. And there's I don't know, maybe 20 really large deposits in the world of nickel and cobalt that are undeveloped as of yet. And the reason that they're undeveloped is that at the very lowest end of the nickel price range, they're not very economic. But because you need so much nickel for batteries, nickel prices have now moved into a range where the economics get quite robust for this next generation of nickel projects. And so it's a very interesting time because when you've got a very large project and the economics are marginal at the low end of the price range, there's a balloon effect when you start moving the commodity price upwards. And we're already in a price range where the depreciated net present value and the other metrics are just phenomenal. So it's well worth a look.
Can you just talk us through your key projects?
Well, we're totally focused on the Turnagain Nickel project. And so we've got, in the measured plus indicated category, about 7 billion pounds of nickel. And then we've got about another 5 billion pounds in the inferred category. But it's the measured and indicated that matters because we're currently doing a PFS, and you can only use the measured and indicated for that. But that's still going to work out to be somewhere around a 40-year mine life. So, at an average of about, in the PEA, we were about 33,000 tons a year on average of nickel in a very nice high-grade clean concentrate with an 18-to-1 ratio between nickel and cobalt.
And when should the PFS be out?
Well, we're targeting June.
Okay. And then what next in the sort of like 6 to 18 months afterwards, assuming that the PFS is going to be obviously very, very positive for Giga Metals?
Well, we're looking to get the next partner involved. I mean, as you know, it's a classic problem in the mining industry is if you've got a very small company with a very large project, how do you develop it? How do you get it built with a tiny company? And the answer is partners, and the partners have to have deep pockets and they have to know what they're doing. So far, I think it was early September that we announced we had formed a joint venture relationship with Mitsubishi Corp, and Mitsubishi, in fact, is funding this PFS that we're in the middle of completing. So they're a minority interest holder. They own 15%. Of the joint venture company. We own 85%, and we are actively looking for and talking to potential joint venture partners to buy, say, another 20% of it. And we're looking for enough money for that 20% to get us to a final investment decision. So through the environmental assessment and through the full feasibility report.
And that's, of course, one of the reasons why you're at Mines and Money London Connect next week.
That's one of the reasons, yeah. I would also like to make contact with, retail and institutional investors and so forth. We don't need to be raising any money right now. And we're hoping that we'll be successful in raising our money by selling a project interest rather than by doing equity financing. So really what we're looking for is open market buying. And I think there's a really strong case to be made for that. None of the brokers, of course, are interested in that, but oftentimes potential institutional buyers could be. So we just think our market cap is way too small to be doing equity financings. And so, if we can avoid doing equity financings, we will.
What would you say to those investors who might say to you, well, look, there's other nickel projects out there, there's other nickel projects with cobalt out there. What makes you stand out from those peers?
Well, for one thing, we have by far the simplest flow sheet. And the reason for that is that 99% of the nickel and cobalt that are recoverable are contained in the mineral pentlandite. So the flow sheet has to recover one mineral and one mineral only, that's pentlandite. We don't have other species of sulphide. We don't have a wariorite. So we don't need mag separation circuits. We also don't have a lot of alteration materials because our deposit's young. So we don't have to have desliming circuits and all these things. And just, all these circuits work, but the longer and more complex your flow sheet is, the more inherent risk there is in the flow sheet. So of the undeveloped projects of the world, I would say that in terms of technical risk, we are by far the least risky project to develop.
We haven't talked yet about the management of Giga Metals. What's your background, Mark?
Oh, my background is I used to be a broker many years ago, and then I crossed the street in the 90s to help finance a junior oil and gas company called Ultra Petroleum that we were the first public company to do multi-stage fracs to develop a very tight gas resource in Wyoming. And that ultimately turned into 3 trillion cubic feet of proven reserves. And then I retired after that, and then I got involved with this company in 2004. I just couldn't resist it. I love really big deposits, and if you're going to put all the work into trying to develop something, it might as well be big. So, and then, but in this most recent cycle, I mean, when we kind of put the project to sleep during the sort of 2012 to 2017 time period. It's just nickel prices were low, and I just didn't want to dilute, and so I just put it on care and maintenance. 2017 we started getting active again as the electric vehicle revolution started to happen, and there suddenly there was a lot more interest in what we had, and we managed to attract I've got a small but very talented technical team. So I managed to attract an excellent project manager, first of all, and then managed to attract a gentleman named Martin Vidra. He is now president of Giga Metals. He's also a director, but he had a 31-year career at Sherritt International. He's a mining engineer. He used to run the refinery. Pardon me, he's not a mining, he's an engineer, but he used to run things for them. And then in the latter part of his career at Sherritt, he sold various nickel and cobalt products to end users. So he knows that whole end user market very well. And he is leading our search for strategic partners. And so far, I give him full credit for getting Mitsubishi involved. But he's also talking to car companies, battery companies, other mining companies, trading companies. So, he knows that world better than I do. And so that's why he's got the lead. And then Martin also, once he was in place, he managed to attract a gentleman named Lyle Tritton, also ex-Sherritt. And he said, Mark, we've got to hire this guy. He's the most talented engineer I have ever met. And so Lyle, led, he was our internal engineer on our PEA. And he is currently leading the charge of putting the PFS together. So, and after working with Lyle for a number of years, I have to agree with Martin. I mean, this this is an extremely smart and accomplished engineer.
Well, it sounds like you've got a great management team. You've got a great JV partner, got a great assets, got a really exciting story. It's obviously going to play a key part in the energy transition. Really looking forward to seeing you at Mines Money London Connect next week. That was Mark Jarvis, the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Giga Metals. Thank you for your time today, Mark.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew.